The name-calling, race-baiting, and ethnic chauvinism we have seen in the course of this debate has been regrettable. Honorable Shivambu says we are living in an alternative reality when it comes to job creation. For a taste of reality, he could visit some of the 23,000 schools across the country. As a person who is so well educated, who is also reading for his PhD, he will find it very useful just to go to some of the schools so that he can see what these young people.
So in this video, President Cyril Ramaphosa is actually blasting Floyd Shivambu for his speech during last week's parliamentary debate on the opening address in the parliament by the president, where Floyd Shivambu actually made a lot of attacks on the government of national unity, calling it the government of national confusion. Let's listen to President Ramaphosa's rebuttal of Floyd Shivambu's speech last week, and I'll be back for a short analysis on this whole issue.
As this parliament, we must hold firm to the principles that underpin the founding values of our democratic country. We must not allow our work to be derailed by sowers of disunity. The name-calling, race-baiting, and ethnic chauvinism we have seen in the course of this debate has been regrettable. Minister Mackenzie has challenged us to as a government and as a society to address the national question. This, I believe, is vital if we are to proceed to build a united nation. Not only do we need to have frank and honest conversations about how race continues to define the prospects of our people, but we need to pursue policies that resolve these contradictions in our economy and society. Honorable Sangoni Diko was clear in saying non-racialism is fundamental to the struggle for a free and equal society. Non-racialism is not a concession. It is not an act of charity. It is something that we must continue to build so that we can achieve a South Africa that truly belongs to all who live in it. The task of building a non-racial society and a non-sexist society requires that we remove the material barriers that apartheid created to divide South Africans. This is why we have placed the task of inclusive growth and job creation at the center of the work of this administration. That is why we have stressed the relationship between growth and transformation. To undertake the necessary redistribution of wealth and opportunity, we do need an economy that grows and thrives. And to achieve growth, we need to mobilize capabilities, resources, and efforts of all South Africa's people. In South Africa, growth and transformation are two sides of the same coin. We cannot achieve one without the other. We should therefore not dismiss the vital importance of ensuring that, yes, we take measures that will benefit all the people of South Africa. It is important that we should not allow ourselves to be led into the false choice between policies that are supposedly pro-business or pro-worker. We stand for inclusive growth that creates employment and that enables businesses to emerge, to grow, and to achieve sustainable returns, be they privately owned businesses or state-owned businesses. We agree with Deputy Minister Hendricks that the private sector needs to take on the responsibility of opening up opportunities for unemployed South Africans and we have insisted that employment creation must be one of the pillars of our partnership with business. We have seen the impact of the Youth Employment Service, which we established some time ago together with the private sector, and which has created tens and tens of thousands of opportunities for young people, many of which opportunities have now translated into permanent, decent jobs. We appreciate the value and the necessity of public programs that create work and livelihood opportunities. Minister Mantashe is right that if we are to meaningfully address the unemployment crisis, we will have to focus on the lower end of the labor market where mass employment is required. This is where we need to place most of our focus on, because many of the people who are unemployed are those who are at the lower end of the labor market. Honorable Shivambu says we are living in an alternative reality when it comes to job creation. For a taste of reality, he could visit some of the 23,000 schools across the country where more than 1 million school assistants have made a tangible difference in improving learning outcomes, supporting curriculum delivery, and improving classroom environment. As a person who is so well educated, who is also reading for his PhD, he will find it very useful just to go to some of the schools so that he can see what these young people are doing. We deployed these young people during COVID to go and assist in schools, and they did not have an experience in the world of work. As they were deployed, they started demonstrating their capability. They started showing how tech-savvy they are. They assisted older teachers in our various schools. And unlike some in this house, we see the economic and social value of the work and livelihood support that has been made possible by mass public employment programs. We see the impact of the 188,000 agricultural input vouchers that have been issued to small-scale farmers to expand their production and support food security.
Interesting speech, guys. What do you think? I thought that we'll go through this video to really understand what really many EFF members interpreted as the problem of President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech last week. During the hour-long address by President Cyril Ramaphosa in Parliament, members of the DA actually previously South Africa's official opposition and now the coalition government partner actually expressed their approval with standing ovations and noddings. And we see that Julius Malema in his speech was really angry about this fact that, he actually even almost wondered that, wondered if Helen Zille was the one who wrote the speech for President Ramaphosa, because with the way the DA members were clapping and nodding, the EFF thought that that was really offensive from their perspective. But anyway, President Ramaphosa outlined key priorities, emphasizing a swift and inclusive economic growth, job creation, and addressing the elevated costs of essential commodities. Now, following the loss of their parliamentary majority, the ANC actually established an initially stable coalition with 9 other political parties, and President Ramaphosa's address actually came after the coalition government's inaugural cabinet meeting post-election. Ramaphosa actually noted that the meeting actually underscored the determination by all members of the Government of National Unity to work together to advance the interests of all South Africans. The priorities of the GNU was actually saying that, it wanted to integrate primarily ANC policies with several concessions to address the DA's concerns, and also because, the DA is actually the second largest party in South Africa and a long-standing rival of the ANC. But anyway, we know that the DA actually advocates for free market policies. It actually contradicts ideologically with the ENC's social welfare orientation, and actually also even emphatically contradicts its opposition, the MK and the EFF. So we now see that, the previous opposition politics, when the DA was the official opposition, was actually an ideologically contradictory arrangement based, that formed the basis across for democracy, where the ANC actually had, ideologies that different from the center-right party, the DA. But anyway, we still now see that ideological contradiction within one party now, and that's where probably a lot of the confusion might come from, especially as critiqued by EFF and MK party. Okay, so we know that the DA actually now contradicts the ANC's ideology of social welfare orientation, and is also perceived, as prioritizing white minorities' interests, a claim that the DA actually refutes. In Ramaphosa's speech, he actually asserted that the economic growth must actually support the empowerment of Black South Africans, women, and those who have been historically marginalized economically. Now, this coalition government, which is the government of national unity, enjoys the support of 70% of the MPs in the parliament, and actually has committed to massive infrastructural investment aiming to transform the entire country into a construction site. We could hear that a lot from President Ramaphosa's speech, where he spoke about how South Africa will now, instead of exporting raw materials, there will be more construction, more development of materials into finished products within South Africa to be able to retain jobs and spark up, fight the unemployment rate in South Africa. I think it's about 33%, which is really shocking. But anyway, another focus area, according to President Ramaphosa, is actually that the GNU wants to expand the list of essential food items which are exempt from VAT, okay? And so this is a way to, I think, to reduce the cost of food and fight the inflation that many poor South Africans are unable to feed. He actually states that this initiative was championed by the DA to actually combat poverty, as noted by a senior researcher from the Wits School of Government's TK Poe. Additionally, the ANC's proposal for compulsory universal healthcare will actually proceed with stakeholder consultations. We know that this was actually the policy that was passed by President Ramaphosa just before the national elections of May 29, and the DA vehemently criticized that national health insurance bill as something that was orchestrated as a scam by the ANC to rob South Africans further. Anyway, in addressing concerns from the DA and private medical insurers who actually threatened legal actions regarding President Ramaphosa's upholding of the National Health Insurance Bill, it was claimed by that the DA and these private medical insurers that it was infringes on the right to choose healthcare. It was an infringement on the right of South Africans to choose their healthcare providers. A DA leader and Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen actually spoke to journalists outside the parliament, emphasizing that the court will be the last resort and that the DA actually now has a platform within the government for negotiation, especially in terms of this national health insurance scheme. John Steenhuisen also expressed approval for President Ramaphosa's speech, also with Minister Gayton McKenzie. We could see, I actually have a video here on this channel with Gayton McKenzie really applauding President Ramaphosa for his speech. Gayton McKenzie actually praised the speech, describing it as one of Ramaphosa's best speech to date. Conversely, an Action SA MP, John Trollip, who actually was not, we know that Action SA is not actually included in the government of national unity, actually criticized President Ramaphosa's speech for lacking credibility and resembling previous speeches, right? The EFF Julius Malema also told the SABC that it's very clear that the president has got no plan to transform South Africa for the better. Anyway, John Schloppe also as well from NK Party concurred, noting that Ramaphosa avoided discussing Palestine because of the DA's scrutiny. He also criticized the speech as appalling and lacking attention to land reform without compensation, which is a core MK policy and also a significant national issue. White individuals, according to him, actually they argue that comprise of only 7% of the population, they own a majority of individually held farmland, which sparks ongoing debate about state redistribution without compensation. Anyway, so this is actually, one of the reasons why the EFF actually and the MK party sparked a lot of critique against that speech. It argued that it missed a lot of points in terms of redistribution of land, meeting historical injustice and all that. And so that's where the MK and the EFF actually stand. It's been a lot of disruptions, points of orders in the parliament as the DA and other members of the government of national unity give their speeches. If probably that's their strategy, I'm not really sure. But anyway, one thing lies ashore sure that the fact that, there's this really ideological contradiction within the government of national unity, and also at the level of the opposition, where it's a triple contradiction there, triple ideological contradictions, where I think South African politics would actually be highly, highly explosive and volatile for the next 4 years coming. But anyway, what do you guys think about this video? What do you guys think about President Ramaphosa's speech in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments.